Okay, so Paul Mitchell coming in from Monaco to be Newcastle United's new sporting director, and without making big statements, could be one of Newcastle United's most important signings of the summer. To have that sporting director in place after everything that's gone on with Dan Ashworth, and to have such a guy with a reputable sort of status coming in at Newcastle at St James's Park is absolutely fantastic. So it's great to see somebody who's going to be really hands-on with the transfers, and not just that, lots of other things around the football club. But I can see this appointment being more a guy who comes in with actions more than just words. And it's a great appointment for Newcastle. So first and foremost, welcome on board Paul Mitchell to Newcastle United. Great addition to the squad. Now, one of his first tasks is going to be the Anthony Gordon situation. We've seen last week Anthony Gordon was offered to Liverpool, and it was part of talks as Newcastle had a desperate finish to June, trying to offload players. Pretty much, half a dozen squad members were, in contact with Premier League teams around Europe. It was a bit, a bit difficult, really. We've got to be fair with Newcastle on this one. They didn't want to get points deducted, so it was very difficult. Anthony Gordon was one of them names. Now, there's so much talk of Anthony Gordon and Liverpool. It's something that Paul Mitchell will be looking to get to, nip it in the bud very early on, and establish how serious Liverpool are with this interest. Yes, there were talks. Yes, there are suggestions that Gordon was interested in the move. Gordon has said nothing on it. After the Euros, Gordon, will probably go for a little break, and then he'll be back at Newcastle. So it's something that could rumble on, but it's something that Newcastle could also, as I said, nip in the bud, because they could offer him a new contract. They could, resell him. Everything that's going on at Newcastle, and just assure the player that things are going to be just fine at St James's Park, and that's what people will be hoping for. That is the outcome that people will be hoping for as far as the supporters are concerned. So that's one of the tasks he's got to get on top of early in the job, and then for Eddie Howe, it's going to be basically whether this is the dynamics of this is going to be the same as with Dan Ashworth. Obviously, Dan Ashworth basically came in, he took a back seat almost at Newcastle. Very interesting that the first thing he'd done at Manchester United was offer Erik Ten Hag a new contract. He did that with Eddie Howe as well, very early in the job, tried to settle things down. I wonder, is this going to be a little bit different in terms of there's a more of a driving force behind the scenes to get deals done? And, Newcastle must move on from the Dan Ashworth episode as well. And there's so many talking points as well, isn't there? You've got the academy struggled last season at times. Yes, Lewis Miley came through the ranks, but Newcastle's record in the FA Youth Cup is something that must be improved on. They need to get that flow of youngsters coming through. There's key positions still to be filled. The under-18s coach as well is a job that must be filled, and Newcastle fans in general just want to see the club moving forward. I've seen a few people say we're back now, and I think that has got to be a good positive message to take forward into pre-season. There's so much work still to be done. Newcastle still need to make some deals, but ultimately there is calm, there is an appointment that's been made at the top, and it's something that will mean the fans can just know that there's no uncertainty now. Sporting director's in place. Dan Ashworth has gone. The money has been sorted. There's no sort of wrangles going on in the background anymore. And that's got to be a big thing going into pre-season, which starts next week. And Newcastle fans will be delighted to see Paul Mitchell on board. But now it's a case of on with business, try to get certain players settled down again. There was a lot of unrest last week, lots of players looking over their shoulders, but Newcastle United now have the man in place. They've got the transfer chief in place, and this is going to be really interesting now to cover. It's going to be interesting to watch as a supporter, and it's a really positive move. So Newcastle United can kickstart their summer. As I say, Paul Mitchell could be one of the best signings Newcastle have made for many years. So good luck to him in the job that he's got ahead.